Thank you. Coming back to you, okay?
Going back to the connection of science and God, have you ever considered the idea that maybe we're God's practice?
We're God's
practice.
practice?
And that, maybe, like you said, because there's so many problems that it's one giant joke that we don't get.
Yeah, that sometimes you look at the world and you wonder, don't you? I guess, I think everyone's wondered that sort of thing. I think that, frankly, I have no business wondering that. That almost saying I'm kind of like God and can judge what he's done. I'm a stupid little, very limited human being. I can't see everything he's working with, everything he's trying to do. So yeah, it's an interesting thought, and sometimes you sure have to cry out, what the hell's going on? Excuse me. But in the end, I've got to trust God that he knows what he's doing.
One more, maybe? Great.
Wouldn't you consider evolution just a faith, just like people think creationism is a faith? Because you just have to believe in it, because there's scientific facts for each thing.
Yeah, the facts for creationism, as a scientist, I've got to say, really aren't facts. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of evidence for evolution, and virtually, can't ever say never, always, but virtually all scientists believe in evolution. In terms of creationism, just about everything I've seen is kind of taking things out of context, maybe increasing, exaggerating the level of uncertainty. One of the problems that scientists have is that we know that nothing is known for certain. So we can do 100 million experiments that all support this theory, whether it's gravity or evolution. And as scientists, we can't say, even though we've got 100 million of pieces of fact that all support it, I can't say as a scientist it's absolutely true. Because I know as a scientist that it only takes one experiment to disprove it. And I don't know, maybe that one experiment hasn't been done. And so scientists will often get asked, do you know this for 100%? And a scientist, speaking as a scientist, will say, no, of course not. Meaning there may be one chance in a million that it's not, or one chance in 1,000, sometimes one chance in 10, depending on what the problem is. But to people that aren't scientists, they don't understand it in that same way. So, all the evidence I've seen supports evolution. All the evidence that I've seen for creationism, and more importantly, the information that other scientists that's their area of study, have seen, says those facts aren't really so much facts. So faith is something that cannot be proven or demonstrated to be true or false. Something like something like evolution can be. So there's a difference there. That was a long answer.
We have a follow-up question or another question.
Thank you very much for your talk, Dr. McClusky. In my opinion, the issue really, among serious people, the issue really is not creationism and evolution. The issue is, how do you explain human beings? Does evolution explain the emergence of the human person and the distinct qualities that human has, the capacity for will, the self-consciousness, the capacity for abstract reasoning? I think that's really why there is such resistance to evolution. Maybe you could comment on that.
Again, this is, I'm a chemist, not a evolutionary biologist. But if I would be arrogant enough to try to answer that from my own perspective, what I see is that there's fossil records of a variety of species that approach humans, things like the Neanderthals and Cro-Magnon man and a lot of these, Lucy and a lot of these others. In terms of consciousness, again, I'm getting out on thin ice, but if I look at my pet dog, I think my dog knows she exists. She can respond. What is conscious? I can see my dog solve problems. So obviously the capability of a human is a lot more than a dog, but I can see the potential for a progression there. I also don't see, from the other side of the question, I don't see gaps that say that humans couldn't have developed over millions of years. So, as a scientist, I weigh the evidence. And to me, I can see evolution. There's evidence for evolution in everything, all sorts of things other than humans. So, and there's things that look like evolution in humans. So it makes sense to me that humans were evolved too. And I don't have a problem with that. That doesn't mean God wasn't involved in our evolution. That God didn't have a hand in that through the processes. It doesn't mean that we're less important. All it says is, did it go poof, or was it an amazingly more complex process? And I think that is the more important question. Are we a result of God's work? I say yes.
You said that evolution is a scientific theory and it can't be 100% proven.
Right.
Just like intelligent design and creationism. Then how can you almost completely rule out intelligent design by calling it anti-science if it is a theory as well? The difference is that for going back to what I said about science, 1 million facts supporting a claim doesn't make that claim true. It makes it probably true, but it doesn't say it is. But the other side of that is that one fact that disproves it says it isn't true. Okay. And if I look at, I guess one of my questions about intelligent design
Couple of different things. One, there are problems with the way our body, other animals are designed. I mean, I mentioned the eye, I mentioned our jaws. Anyone ever had knee problems? Yeah. Anyone had a pet that's had knee problems? It happens, not as much. Is that a design issue? There are, again, and this gets kind of into judging God, trying to understand God, but it seems to me that there are things in the way the body is designed and the world is designed that don't look perfect, are issues. Could have been designed better. And so then that suggests God's a bad engineer. And is God a bad engineer? I mean, if he's a bad engineer, what else is he bad at? Again, that goes into faith questions. So, getting back to your question, there is a lot of evidence, scientific evidence supporting evolution. Intelligent design, there are good scientific answers to all the questions that are raised by intelligent design, in terms of our jaw, in terms of our knees, in terms of the spontaneous abortions that occur, in terms of all sorts of things. So that, to me then, is not science, because it's ignoring facts. And as a science, you can't ignore facts and be a good scientist, because facts are what rule. If religion is faith, a different side of things. So that was kind of wandering, but.
Thank you for beginning a conversation with us. I hope that this conversation will continue in your classrooms, in the ASC, and Hein, and as you're going about your work of becoming an educated person here. Thank you very much, Dr. McClusky.
Thanks for your attention.